As toy collectors, we spend decades trying to hunt and gather all the stuff that we want to add to our collection. Some of it takes us years to find. And when we've got it, we put it in our collection and we can rest assured that yes, we own it now. But what about when we lose something from our toy collection? What about when that little weapon falls down the back of a cabinet and then we never see it again? Or we put something in storage and forget what box it's in and then can never find it? Well, recently I had a very similar incident to this, and for the next few minutes I'm going to rant to you lot all about it for Toy Talk Tuesday. Enjoy. Slimehouse TV, myself Theo Kane, hope everybody is good. Hold tight to Slime Alliance, the Slime Renegades, and everybody that's locked in for a little bit of Toy Talk Tuesday. So over the past couple of weeks, I've done quite a few episodes on storage. The last video that I dropped was all about how I store all my vintage toy accessories, and I've got one box for guns, one box for knives and melee weapons, one box for armor and accessories and other greeblies and add-ons and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty organised when it comes to the stuff that I keep in boxes. And when it comes to toy accessories, I do look through them boxes and I find the odd thing that I forgot that I had, or I didn't know that I had, or I didn't know what it was when I first looked in that box, but looking in it again, I've now found out what that weapon's for. When it comes to like the toys that I've got in storage and the other stuff like that, the other retro things, like I know everything. I know what all of it is. I've got everything in my head logged. I know what's in them boxes. I've had a lot of people comment and say that they like to keep stuff in storage because they like to go through the box and find something that they forgot they had, and it's like rediscovering it all over again. Well, I've never had that. I know everything what I've got, and quite often I know every single box that it's been put in. Now, some people even download apps onto their phone and have like a log of every single thing that they own, or they have books and have it wrote down, in this box is that toy, I've got this toy and this weapon. I'm pretty okay with my own brain remembering all this stuff. I can tell you every single figure that I've got. I can tell you where I got it from. I can tell it if it's got its accessory or if I need an accessory to go with it. I have a real good mental log of everything that I own, and I always have. And when it comes to my storage boxes, a lot like my weapons boxes, they're very organised. I've got one that's full of Ultraman and Bandai toys. I've got one that's full of Last Action Hero, one that's full of Kenner Aliens and Terminators, one that's full of random toys. I've got boxes full of retro games, boxes full of minifigures with all them in different categories and stuff. Anything that I've not got displayed that I've got in boxes because I have to pull it out for videos and I've not got room to display it all, I've got a real good log of what everything is, and it's all very much organised. But for as good as I am at logging everything and knowing where everything is, obviously there is some stuff that does get misplaced when you've got a house full of this stuff and you've been doing it for many years. There's lots of times when things do get misplaced and things do go missing. And I know when something's been moved in my toy room. I know if something's not there. I know if my goddaughters have been round and they've been playing with my toys, because I know when something's been moved from one area to another, because there's gaps, and I have a good memory of everything and how it's organised. Like I said, I know where every single one of these figures come from. You could point to any figure in this room and I'll tell you when I got it, where I got it, and how I got it. But sometimes I will come in here and I'll look, and a figure that had a weapon in its hand has no longer got it in its hand, and I'll find it like a few shelves down because it's fallen out of his hand for whatever reason. And that's the beauty of having stuff in cabinets. You know, if something falls out of its hand, you know it's probably just going to be on the shelf underneath it or the one down. It can't have gone anywhere else outside of that enclosed glass space. I've talked about the head poppers where the heads just fly off in the middle of the night and that kind of shit. Things do fall off toys, whether I've slammed a door too hard, whether it's a ghost that's fucking moved it, or my goddaughter. For whatever reason, stuff does every now and again get misplaced in the toy room. Another culprit of this is when I'm doing a toy video and I'm filming a documentary on like a certain line, and I've got all the weapons out and all the figures laid out. Sometimes you'll go to put them all back in the boxes after, or put them back on the shelf, and you can't find a little missile or a little bullet or a weapon or something that goes with the figure, and you've misplaced it and you can't find where it is. And it will drive me nuts trying to find that weapon. I'll put everything to one side until I've found the part that goes with it to put it back in its shelf so that it's complete. Like when I made that Robin Hood documentary, it was an absolute nightmare because we had little arrows flying around and rocks flying about and all the missiles and projectiles and stuff, and we was filming that outside, so it was very easy to lose stuff, and I had to constantly keep track of where everything was so that I didn't lose any of the bits from that toy line. Last year when I was doing the RX-782 Gunpla build, there's a little diamond that goes in the middle of the robot's head, and it fell off while I was building it, and it went somewhere behind my desk, and it's absolutely minute. It's like if you got a grain of rice and cut it in half. It's like a gnat's bollock. It's so small, and I had to take everything from around my desk, everything from underneath it, and scour the floor searching for one tiny little piece of red plastic because I couldn't sleep if I'd not got it. If I'd lost it off the figure, I couldn't finish the video. It needed to be there in its entirety, and I'd lost it, and it pissed me off, and I spent all night looking for it. I did eventually find it, but I spent a good few hours looking for one little tiny piece. And it's super annoying to me because I like to have all my stuff complete, and especially if I've got that and it's in my possession and I own it, I don't want to be the one that loses it. So that's annoying. And it's also another reminder of how when we get these figures with all the weapons, how rare it is and how hard it is to get something like that, because when these belong to kids and they were made to be played with, they were throwing them around their bedrooms, around their friends' rooms, around their gardens, firing missiles around and little guns getting lost and stuff. So the fact that we have any of these toys with all the little weapons still intact is like a fucking miracle to me. Because even me as a toy collector that really does try and preserve this stuff, I do lose stuff from time to time and spend all night finding it. Now when it comes to stuff getting lost just in life in general, unless it's like my phone or my iPad that I need for work, when it comes to stuff around the house, if I've lost it, I don't really care too much. If I lose my phone charger, I'll just go get another one. If I can't find my hat or a certain pair of trainers, I know that they're in the house somewhere, they will turn up. I would like to know where they are, but I don't stress over it. I'm just like, oh, whatever, they'll turn up whenever. But when it comes to my toys, I'm a completely different beast. When it comes to a toy line, I just can't settle until I've found all the bits for it if I know that I've got them and they've got lost somewhere in this room or in this house. And I would say that it's the fact that they're vintage toys and I see it as my duty as somebody that needs to look after them, but I've always been this way. I remember when I was a little kid, I once went to play at one of my friend's houses and I took all my Kenner Beetlejuice figures, and then somewhere along the lines of playing with them at his house, I've misplaced them and I couldn't find one of the big heads that fits on top of the little mini head, and my mum came to pick me up and I'd got all my toys and I couldn't find it. And I'm scouring the house and I said to the woman, like, I'm not leaving till I find it. And she goes, oh, it's okay, I'll just find it and put it to one side and we'll give it you when we next see you. And I'm like, no, you don't understand, I am not leaving this house until I've got that figure. And I ran upstairs and locked myself in the bathroom and I said, I'm not leaving the bathroom until you find the figure that I've lost. I was a little shit, I was a little brat, but I was so obsessed with this thing that I'd lost it, that it was mine, my toy, and I'd lost the accessory for it, that I couldn't settle. This was when I was a little kid. Boy better know that that woman banned me from playing with her kid and coming round to her house after that incident. I remember it like it was yesterday, but it's just another example of how much this shit means to me and how losing it like stresses me out and fucking winds me up. Like she literally said to my mom, I think it's a good idea if Theo doesn't come round to play with my son anymore. That's the kind of kid I want. But that's how much I love this shit and how much I've always loved this shit. That's how much it means to me. Whether it's like a mental defect or something, I don't know. I can't explain it. But when it comes to this stuff and their accessories and having something in its entirety and having it complete, it fucking means a lot to me. And I don't sleep very well at night because I'm always constantly thinking about stuff, but I do get a much better night's sleep when I know that I've got something there complete. I do definitely sleep better knowing that. So yeah, as you can imagine, it really does wind me up when I lose something that's from my own collection and I'm the one that's lost it. And recently, over the last 5 days, I've had like a crazy incident of this. So for the past month, I've been grafting away on a private commission job, doing an animated music video for a new Christmas single that's coming out. I can't say what it is or anything like that. You'll probably never even know that I'm attached to it because it's not really my kind of artwork or my kind of style. So I said, don't worry too much about linking it back to me. I will just take the money to do the job and then you do what you need to do with the video. Anyway, I've been grafting on it for the last month because they needed it within a month. I took the job, but I've pretty much worked around the clock on it to get it finished, taking 2 half days off to do a Toy Talk Tuesday and a Watch Along Wednesday for the last 4 weeks. But other than that, I've just been grafting away on this animation. I even bought the new God of War and I've struggled to get like an hour or two to play it before I go to bed, so I'm like way behind on that story, which I really didn't want to be because I'm buzzing for that game. But speaking of gaming, the reason I told you the story about the animated music video is that I've been so preoccupied with that when it finished, I wanted to take a couple days off just to do something for myself. Something that wasn't really Slimehouse related, wasn't work related or anything like that, and I could just enjoy doing it. Every single year, I like to tick off little skills and tasks off a list that I've learned, like learned new stuff, leveled up, learned new skills, and one of the things that I wanted to learn this year is how to emulate retro gaming consoles. So I had a couple of days free at the end of doing this job, some handheld consoles that I'd got that I wanted to put like Raspberry Pis on or emulators or whatever. I wanted to work it all out, how to code it and everything, and spend a good like 48 hours, 2-3 days just like fully learning how to do that. Now I don't really talk about it too much on the channel, but I've got a big collection of retro games. I'm planning on turning my living room into like a whole retro gaming center at some point. I've got the stuff in storage ready to do it. I've got a little bit on display, but nothing to really talk about. I haven't got a big collection like someone like Retro Ghetto has, but I've got a decent hefty sized collection of retro games and consoles. And this is not something that I've actively gone to seek out when I'm like out toy hunting. This is just stuff that I've gathered over the years. Either people's given it to me, or I've picked it up cheap, or I got it years ago before retro gaming was such a big thing like it is now. But I've got a nice collection, and like I was talking about the boxes that I have in storage that I've got everything in like one box together, I've also got a box that's full of my handheld retro games. So in there I've got like a Game Boy, a Game Boy Light, Game Boy Advanced, all that kind of thing with loads of games, and it's the same box that I keep my retro handheld emulators in. So a lot of these were donated to me by my friend Tobias, who gave them me earlier this year because he wanted me to learn how to emulate games onto them, and I said this is perfect because it's something that I've wanted to learn. So I'm going to make sure I put some time aside to learn how to program these and put retro games on them so that I can have one of those devices with like every console on and every game ever. So like I said, I had a couple of days put to one side to do this. I got the box that's just under my desk. It's always here because I'm always in and out of this box because I do a lot of handheld gaming. So I got them out of the box and I started looking through them, and I thought, you know what, it might make a cool little Slimehouse episode this. I know I didn't really want to film a Slimehouse episode today. I wanted to just do something for myself, but Slimehouse is always for me, and I film a lot of stuff on here that's literally just because I enjoy doing it. So I started getting out all the handheld retro game consoles, and I thought, yeah, do you know what, I could do some nice shots of all the different retro game consoles that I've got, and then bring that back to that I now want to emulate this one Retroid Pocket 2 emulator that I've got. And I'm going through them and I'm getting them all out, and then I noticed that one of them's missing. So like I said, I've got a Game Boy Advance, I've got a Game Boy Light, I've got Game Boy Color, the OG Game Boy. I've got an old Game Boy that's also had a real nice light put inside it and a new shell and everything like that. So it's an old Game Boy, but it just plays a lot better with a much brighter light. That's like a joy to play old Game Boy games on that machine. And I'm getting them all out, but I can't find my Game Boy Advanced Micro. Now this is one that I do play quite often. The last time I had it, I put Duke Nukem in it, and I was completing Duke Nukem, the old Game Boy Advance Duke Nukem game on it. But this is one that I kind of keep to hand because I go back to it quite often. I probably last played it like a month and a half ago, but it wasn't in this box. So instantly I'm thinking, where the fuck is that? So I've got them all out, I'm having a look, I'm looking through the box, I'm looking through the boxes of games, and I can't find it anywhere. And like I said, this is one that I do come back to quite often, so it can't be far. It's also one that I take good care of, so I always like to keep it in some kind of like Ziploc bag or something. Just put it in something so the screen doesn't get scratched, because it's one of the rarer consoles, so I wouldn't want it to get broken or like a big scratch across the front of it or anything like that. So I really do take good care of this thing. But it's also really small, so I'm thinking, if it's not in this box, where the fuck could it be? Because it's tiny and I don't want it to have like got put somewhere randomly. My goddaughters also play that when they come round, so I'm thinking, if they put it on a shelf or something, and I start having a look round. But like I said, the last time I played this was like a month and a half ago, so it can't have gone far. And I'm looking all over my shelves and in some other boxes, and by the end of the day, I'd done no emulating whatsoever, and I'd turned this room upside down looking for where that console could be. I then looked all over my bedroom. I'm looking underneath my bed because I sometimes play it in bed. I'm looking on all my shelves. I'm in every cupboard. I'm starting to look in places where I know it's not, just in case it's accidentally been put there for some fucking weird reason. But no joy, couldn't find it. So by the end of that night, I'd gone through all my storage and then decided that all my storage boxes that are cardboard was sliding all over the place. I couldn't look in them properly, and ended up going to Wilkinson's that night and buying a fucking shit ton of stacker boxes, transparent stacker boxes, to put all the stuff in. I'd wanted to do this for ages, but this seemed like the perfect time to do it, because I'm trying to go through these boxes and they're falling around, they're messy, they're cardboard boxes, they're not good to look in. It's making this whole thing a lot harder and a lot more stressful. So I went to Wilkinson's like half an hour before it shut and bought a bunch of stacker boxes. Side note, how fucking expensive are stacker boxes? Like, I remember when these were 4 or 5 quid a box. Now they're like 10, 12, 15, 20 fucking quid for a plastic box. Luckily for me, I got some cheaper ones from Wilkinson's. They didn't need to be like real heavy duty ones, because they're not getting thrown in and out of vans like when you're doing toy fairs and stuff, or putting them in sheds. They're literally just to go in my little storage lockup. But yeah, man, fucking storage boxes, lower the price of that shit. So anyway, I got up the next morning, I took everything out of my storage room, replaced it all into transparent boxes, put it all back real nice and neat, and I still couldn't find this fucking Game Boy Advance Micro. And I don't know if you're like me, but when you lose something, everywhere you look, you seem to remember it being there. You think, looking at that shelf, I remember seeing it there. Looking in that box, I remember seeing it there. It could have been on that shelf. It could have been in that coat pocket. I'm looking in every single coat pocket I've got, every bag, everything with a zip on it, because I've got in my head that I put it in something in a zip. I'm looking in places where it 100% won't be, but I'm looking in them anyway. I'm looking inside every single one of my shoes. I'm opening vintage toy boxes, looking inside, see if it's got slotted inside one of them somehow. I'm looking underneath Jabba's Palace's podium, under the little gate, looking if it's been put in there. But still, no joy. And at this point, I've turned over every fucking nook and cranny in my house, and I'm just like, it's driving me fucking insane. Where is this thing? I don't even immediately need it. Just the fact that I can't find it and I own it and it belongs to me and I fucking lost it is stressing me out. And I'm looking in every single box and cupboard in my house and I still can't find it. It's like fucking baffling me. I'm bewildered. So it's been like 4 days at this point and I don't know where it is, and it's really fucking starting to wind me up. And I'm getting to a point where I'm just kind of having to just give up on it. And I'm just thinking, like when my hat goes missing or my trainers, just thinking it will turn up eventually. But then there's that part of my brain thinking, how can it turn up eventually when you've looked in every single fucking nook and cranny in your house and you still haven't found it? Now at this point, I'm really trying to deep dive where it could be. I'm even looking through photographs on my phone, through old phone reels where I've took pictures on my desk, or like screenshots when I've been filming on my desk, having a look on my shelves and my little area here where all my tools are, see if I can zoom in and see that it's there, trying to like recall my steps of when I last had it. When I go to sleep, I'm usually thinking of Toy Talk episodes and things. I'm laid there thinking, where the fuck is this advanced? Where is it gone? Where is this advanced micro? When is the last place that I had it? Trying to retrace my steps. I just didn't know because I'd done so much filming in this room, bringing in boxes. Well, the last couple of months I'd done all those Action Man documentaries, so I had loads of boxes of Action Man stacked up in this room. I'm thinking, did it accidentally get slotted into one of them? So I go into my storage again and I'm looking through every single individual Action Man box, see if it got placed inside those. And then I think, do you know what? At the minute I'm looking for something small and silver. It's this big, it's tiny and silver. I need to kind of dial my sensors differently and look for something with a zip on. I've got it in my head that I've put it in something that's got a zip on it. So the only box in my storage that I didn't put into transparent boxes was this big cardboard Mandarake box that's got some of like my more high-end toys in. So I'm thinking, do you know what? I'm just going to have another look in there. I've looked in this like 3 times, but I'm just going to have another look in there because I'm just looking in the same places 5, 6, 7 times now, as you do when you've lost something and you're trying to find it. So I'm looking through this box and it's got loads of bits in, like I said, a lot of high-end stuff that I like to keep nice. And then I spot a pencil case, an old Goosebumps pencil case. And the second I saw it, I remembered that's where the fuck it is. And I picked up this pencil case. I felt it. I give it a little shake because I'm like, don't get your hopes up. I opened it and there it was inside this little Goosebumps pencil case with its wire and its games, and that's the fucking little thing that I was looking for. Look how small it is. This shit's like the size of a vape pen. Like, the fact that I'd lost this and I couldn't find it in my house had me thinking that it could be fucking anywhere. And luckily, after looking for 5 days in a row at this point, I think it was, I managed to find it. And I found it when I stopped trying to look for something small, shiny and plastic and instead started to try and look for something with a zip on it. Like I said, I always keep it in somewhere safe, and I know I'd kept it in somewhere in a Ziploc, and I found this out recently and I thought that would be a good place to put that little advanced micro, and that's why it's in there. And the reason that it was in that storage box is because I'd been going through some stuff in this room that I'd been filming with the Action Man bits, and when I brought all the Action Man stuff in there, I took some stuff out so that it wasn't too crowded. And normally I would have never put the Game Boy Advanced in that box, but I just picked that up, not thinking, just because it's a pencil case, and put that in the box of the stuff that I was taking out of the toy room. So yeah, just not thinking at the time. But for the past 4 or 5 days, it stressed me so bad just trying to remember where I'd put something that I owned, and I just wanted to fucking rant about it. One of the silver linings of all this fucking about, at least, is that all my stuff in storage is now perfectly immaculate in nice stack of boxes. I can see what's in them, and I know what's in every single one of them because I've been through them 6, 7, 8 times. Same for the rest of my house. I know what's in every single cupboard, in every single box, in every single little nook and cranny. I know what's there now because I've scoured it over the last 4 days. So the silver lining is that I can move forward now with my life and everything's just a little bit more organised than it was a week ago. And what's funny is that my mum told me that my dad went through something very similar to this recently. He's been giving me some of his old toys. If you've been watching my videos, you'll see that he gave me a load of bits. Loads of stuff, not bits, but he gave me loads of things, loads of vintage Action Man and stuff. And he gave me some of his old giant Kenner Star Wars figures, the old ones from the late 70s. And he wanted to give me his Boba Fett figure. And he'd looked for it all over the house and he couldn't find it. He even knew where it used to be in his shelf. Like I said, when you look at your collection, you know when there's a gap there. And he was trying to find this old Boba Fett figure to give me. And my mum says he's trying to find this Boba Fett for you. And I'm thinking, I swear he gave me a Boba Fett years ago. She says, no, it can't be because he don't remember giving it you. And he can't find it anywhere in the house and he wants to give it you. And he's been looking all over his house for it. And after like 3 months searching for this Boba Fett, I then remembered that Dad gave me a Boba Fett like 13 years ago. And the only reason I remembered it was the same one is because she said it had a burn on its hand. She didn't mention this at first. She said 3 months later, the figure that he's looking for, it's got a burn on its hand. Do you ever remember seeing it? And I goes, yeah, he gave me that 13 years ago. And I got his Boba Fett that he'd given me and mine, which had some broken bits, took them all apart and put a good one together and then sold the one that was busted up, and he'd given me years ago, and he'd just forgotten all about it, and I'd forgotten that he'd even give it me, but the one thing that made me remember is that it had a little burn on the back of its hand, and that registered with me, like the zip in the bag. So I just find that when you lose something, you have to kind of think of those weird little insignificant details, and they're what help connect the dots to find it. So I really did feel my dad's pain when he was looking for that thing, because I know what it's like when you've got something and you've no idea where it's gone, and you know that you've misplaced it somewhere. But when you've got a lot of stuff and you put stuff in a safe place, sometimes you put it in a place that's so safe that even you can't find it. And it even makes you paranoid, like, who have I had round my house that I don't know, that I don't trust, that might have swiped it? And I'm thinking, last week that man came round to install new internet. I bet he's had it, the fucking thieving prick. But luckily I won't need to phone Virgin and accuse one of their helpers of stealing my Game Boy, because I found it, and what I wanted to do initially was sit down and do some emulating. I've now finally been able to do. So over the past 2 nights I've been sat down for a few hours before I go to bed, watching tutorials, trying to work it out, trying to work out how I put these old games on my console, and it was really baffling at start, and it's still pretty baffling now, but I'm definitely getting better at it. And like I said, I've got a few of these retro gaming consoles, so I'm trying to master all of them, because eventually I want to build a full fucking arcade machine. I've got plans to build this giant full-size arcade machine. My mate Booty built one and it's fucking awesome. So eventually I want to build a big arcade machine. Not yet. I want to just practice on the little machines for now, but eventually I want to build one of those big Raspberry Pi arcade machines. I'll film it all for Slimehouse. It's going to be fucking awesome. So yeah, a real random episode today, like just talking about something that was relevant to me this week. But if you're a toy collector, tell me that it's not just me that gets like this. I can't be the only one. In fact, me and my dad can't be the only one that have had something in our toy collection that's gone missing and we can't remember why, and it drives us nuts trying to find it. Let me know in the comments below if you can relate. I really hope you can relate, because it'll make me feel a lot fucking better about stressing over the last few days. Oh, and you can guarantee that that Game Boy Advance Micro is never leaving my sight ever again. It's literally staying on my shelf for the rest of my fucking days. I'm never letting it out of my sight. I'm never going through that again. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you can relate to this story, and if you've ever lost something from your toy collection and then spent ages until you found it again, or maybe even a horror story that you lost it and then never found it ever again. Boy, I feel for you if that's the case. But also let me know if you've got any subjects that you'd like to see us discuss on a future episode of Toy Talk Tuesday, because I love hearing what you've got to tell me about ideas that you want to hear us discuss on this show every week as well. If this is your first time checking out the channel, I'm Theo Kane, this is Slimehouse TV. Toy Talk Tuesday episodes are not always as random as this, but then sometimes they are. We try and switch it up, and you never really know what you're going to get on a Tuesday other than that it's going to be toy themed. So if this is your first time checking out the channel, then welcome to Slimehouse TV. We've got an awesome toy community here. You're very welcome to be a part of it. Introduce yourself down below, let me know what you collect, and welcome to the channel. If you want to hit me up but you don't want to do it publicly, the best place to do that is over on Instagram. And if you want to help support this channel and help us make this channel bigger and better than ever, then you can head over to patreon.com/SlimehouseTV. There's a couple of tiers on there, including the Slime Alliance tier, which allows you to get access to these videos 2 weeks in advance, and some other exclusive stuff as well. So in the meantime, I'm going to go back to doing some emulation on my game and enjoying the Game Boy Advance Micro that I'd lost for the last 5 days. And I will catch you in the next video. Until then, I'm gone. Pow!